Hey everyone, welcome back to Game Finder. My name is Dave, and as you can see, we are in a new location. Well, that's because we are going to be reviewing Flourish, and I'm going to give you a small tour of my garden. Now, this year's been pretty hot, and our yield has been half of what we did last year, but it's still a lot of fun. So, I want to give you a disclaimer. This is a review copy from Starling Games. Thank you so much for providing this review copy. I'm going to say right now, you're my favorite board company as of right now, so other board game companies take note. And that's mainly because of the production and the gameplay and just the art. Everdell is one of my favorite games, and at least in the top 3 at this point, and it was designed by Mr. Wilson himself. Well, his wife actually helped co-design this game, and in my experience, every time a lady adds her touch and intelligence to a project, it always seems to improve whatever project that you're working on. Now, this is the Signature Edition, has a couple expansions. Now, again, this is a Kickstarter. You're going to be able to get to that in a link down below. I'm saying that because everything that you've seen today is subject to change. So I'm reserving that everything that you see here today is pretty much a finished product, but could be subjected to change, especially if there are stretch goals to be added. So let me give you a small tour of our garden, because we're super proud of it, and then we'll go and talk more about Flourish. Let's go. So check this guy out. He's a little buddy. I've not seen a praying mantis here yet in our yard, so that's pretty cool. Whew. Alright, so that was a small tour of my garden. Like I said, work in progress, and this was a hot year. It was super hard to get out there and work. So last year was a better yield. You can actually check that out in another video that I made. But it's really nice to have a garden, and I like working out there. It gives me such a rush and an accomplishing feeling when I see all of our work in the finished product. So speaking of finished product, we have Flourish here. Now, this is the Signature Edition. Like I said, the Kickstarter may change a few things, but ultimately, this looks like a great finished product at the moment. And essentially, it's a drafting game with a bit of a twist. Now, you're going to be keeping 3 cards in your hand and passing other cards off to other people, and sometimes you're going to want your neighbors to play certain flowers because it's going to benefit you. So not only are you making this fantastic garden, which is beautiful, might I add, because the art is just mwah, you're also gazing upon your neighbor's garden and drawing some inspiration and just feeling that good feeling, because sometimes it's nice just to stop and smell the flowers. So with that long introduction, now let me show you what comes in the signature box, and then we'll show you how to play, and then we'll go from there. Let's go. Alright, so here's what comes in the box of Flourish, and for a simple card game, boy, this is produce. First, I want to show off this box. It comes with these little hedge inserts so you can have everything sit comfortably in the box once it's all built. I just have to point that out. That is some attention to detail that I just love. Okay, let's first go over what comes in the base game. Everything up top here comes in the Signature Edition, which is the expansions, which is just 2 little mini expansions. So we'll go over the bottom here first. A lot of this does have assembly required, so you're gonna have to take out some time. Like this little thing here, but these little spinners are really cool. You could just do this with paper and pen, but I mean, this is your garden. Look how beautiful it is. I'd rather have this. It's really cool. Be careful though, because you want to put the right dials in the right places, the 10s, the 1s, and the 100s. Okay, the cards, that's where a lot of the bulk of the art is, and boy, I mean, there are some repeating arts, but there's just so much unique, beautiful art in here. I mean, it's inspired by nature. Bob Ross is just crying in tears of joy at all this beautiful fungi and greenery. It's just, I love the cards. Now, the art on the back is really nice, and sometimes I do get it confused, but it's just very slight confusion, and I'm like, okay, well, yeah, this is the real art. Now, The cardboard pieces that you get in the actual just regular Flourish is the walls here. You have to put those together, and then the medallions, and all this cardboard is thick. Let's do the break the cardboard test. Alright, so there's the cardboard broken test. Let's see. Oh, nice. That is like 3-4 ply. Yeah, I expected that. Okay, and then you have the ribbons here as well, which is a part of the game. Now let's go over the expansions. These are the Foilies, and they are, you have to assemble them, and some are easier than others, like the fungi one's really easy, and the blue one and the purple one took me some time, but they're super cool, highly produced, and the fun size cards. Not a huge fan of fun size cards, but look at the art on them. And there's a praying mantis, and there's some kitty cats. Oh, I love me some kitty cats. But this is what comes in the box, and the box itself is just, of course, beautiful too. Look at the gold flaky art, and it's kind of raised up. Okay, I'm gonna stop drilling over this game. Let me go ahead and show you how to play. Let's go. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm gonna set this up for a 2-player game, but in a 3 or higher player game, when you pass off 2 cards, you will pass it to your neighbors to your 2 sides. In a 2-player game, you're passing both of them to your neighbor. So that's the only difference. Now let me show you what goes on in this game. So in Flourish, it happens over 4 different rounds. You're building up your garden, and you're trying to build off of different flowers of your own garden and your neighbors in order to get the most points to be the best garden in the land, whether it be competitive or cooperative, because the competitive roles are the same as the cooperative, just the only difference is in the cooperative you put all your score together and you try to get a medallion. So you try to get silver, gold, or bronze. That's the only difference. So it's really cool, and I like how it's so seamless. Like if you know how to play one, you can play the other. But what you're doing essentially is you're going to be playing 1 card down in front of you. You're taking 2 cards and passing them to your neighbors or neighbor in the case of a 2-player game, and then you're keeping 3 cards in your hand. Now these 3 cards can be the same all throughout the game, or they could change. The thing about this drafting game is you can set up for a last turn, which is your 4th turn. Instead of having just 1 card to pick from, you're playing the 1 card you pick from and keeping a little something for yourself. So your neighbor will also pass you 2 cards, then you will draw 1 card from the deck, as will they, and you end up with 6 cards in your hand after you play the card. And you continue doing this for 3 different cards, and that is consistent of 1 whole round. Now the cards are broke down like this. They have different spots. Up here is the end of round scoring, and you only do this end of round scoring after 3 cards have been put down, and you only do it for the 3 cards. So in round 2, we're not going to be scoring and triggering the end of round for the first round cards, so keep that in mind. Now the things that you actually get, the flowers you have in your garden, are an emblem that's right here to the left, and you can have upwards to 3 or just 1. Right here has the end of game scoring. So this will be however many bridges, which it'll show you what kind of icon you need on the very left here, that your neighbor and you have. You get 3 points. At the very bottom of the left, this is the scientific term for the card. So you're going to be playing a lot of these, and again, you're building up a tableau, kind of like engine building, in this drafting game. So right now I would score this round. What I have here, I have 3 roses and 1 of these blue flowers. Now if I had any mushrooms, I would have scored 2 points per mushroom. Let's say I did have a mushroom. In this case, I would have scored 4 points for this round, and I would immediately go ahead and put that on my score in the ones department, and that would be all that I would score in this round. And then we will continue to do what we just did, playing 1 card in front of us, passing 2 cards off, getting 2 cards passed to us, and then drawing 1 from the deck, and continue to do that for 3 different rounds. Now, once you reach the end of the 3rd round scoring, you will then take the 2 cards that your opponent passed to you, but you won't draw 1 from the deck, and then you will take 3 cards. The 4th round is just you playing the 3 cards you've been wanting to set up for at the end of the game, and you just play them right out in front of you, and this is where you can kind of set up for a big combo play. And now you would score this round just like you do other ones, but after you do that, you do the end game scoring, which is everything down in the right corner. Now there are 5 different types of emblems here, and there are multiple icons for these here. Now there are different ways that you can score. I'll go over them right now. So the scoring goes as follows. If this emblem shows up once, you'll get 1 point for any of that icon in your tableau, and you'll be counting all your gardens. So now when you only trigger the end of round scoring, you still will look at your whole garden to score that. So if I were to trigger this one right here, I would say, okay, I have 1, 2, 3. I would have 3 points. And as we go on, this line right here is or, so you can either pick either roses or the blue one in this case, and this one right here is your neighbors. So if you have multiple neighbors, you would pick one of them and you would get points for both of these icons. And then right here is the icon. If you have more or equal of that flower of your opponents, you'll get 6 points, and the same thing for 9 points. And then these little gray icons down here, pretty self-explanatory. For ever many bridges that is you get 3 points, and this little icon up here doesn't appear very much, but it has flowers and then like a road, and you'll get a little extra point for if you have those in there, and they're pretty scarce. And then here, if you have the most of that symbol throughout the whole game and beating all your opponents, then you get 9 points. This here, if you get 3 of those icons, you get 9 points. This here, if you get 5 of any of those type of flowers, you will get 9 points. And this here, if you get 1 of all the flowers in the game, you get 9 points. So you will do all that in-game scoring, and it takes a little bit of time, more than I would like to admit. And once you have calculated all that score, whoever has the most points wins. Or if you're doing a cooperative game, if you get enough points to get the medallion, then that's awesome. Now let me go over the expansions, which aren't much different. These fun size cards are the Friends expansion. Very small. I would always add these in. Basically, it just gives you 2 cards in the beginning of the game, and then you'll pick one at the end to score. And you can basically go out the whole game and be like, okay, which one do I want? This one here will give you 5 points for every bridge that you have. It seems like a lot of points, but sometimes it's hard to get those bridges. And you just continue to go. This one right here, for every pair of those you get 3 points. For every 3 of those you get 5 points. And they're not very hard to understand, and the art is so cute. Look at the pretty kitty. So I would always add these in. Now the other expansion, which I would wait to add in after you really are experienced, are these buildings here. Now these are Foilies, and basically these will give you more points, and you'll get 1 of every color, and you have to play all of these or you'll get negative 5 points for every one that you have left. And how do you place these? Well, you can only place these on the round that you're actually playing. So let's say I didn't play any of these. I could place this blue one on the blue card, and it scores as follows. For however many icons, the flowers right here, I will get 2 points for anything adjacent, not diagonal. So in this case, I will get 1, 2, 3 points. Now, if I had some flowers over here that are blue, I would get more. So I would get 3 flowers, so 6 points altogether for having that foilie. And then I would continue to do that. And again, you want to play all these because you'll get minus points. The one thing is, once you get to the end of the 3rd and 4th round, you can play these on any card that is applicable, because they are going to give you an opportunity. Now this card right here is the only wild. It's the Rosa Alba, and you can have any one of these on it. So it's a pretty flower, and it can do multiple things. One of the interesting thing is, normally you would build a grid like this, but on the 4th round, the last 3 cards, if you want to put them somewhere different so you can get more points, you can do so. So let's say I put this right here so I can place the rose here, and I don't know why I would do this, just so you can see it visually, but this right here would then score me another 6 points because I was able to place one of my 3 last cards near the actual foilie itself. So that's how you play the game with the expansions, the base game, and all the production that is involved with it. Now let me tell you what I think about the game and give it a score. Let's go. So that is Flourish. Now, I'm giving this game a 78. It is a solid drafting game which had an interesting feel that I haven't got from a drafting game. The cooperative nature was super different. I like that more than I think the competitive nature, but they both are solid games. The solo variant was really cool too. It wasn't that fiddly. All I had to do was kind of just make sure that I give my cards to McGregor and tick up his score when needed, and other than that, just score the end game, and then I knew if I won, so I could bust it out really quick. And that's what I like about this game most of all. It's super easy to set up, super easy to explain, and super quick to bust out. So if you like it, you're going to go ahead and play it over and over again, and in my case, that's kind of what So the first things that I like about it, I love the art, I love the production, and the gameplay is a solid gameplay which is different. There are some quibbles that I do have. There are a few suggestions that I would make. The back of the cards and the art of the cards sometimes blended into each other, so at first glance I didn't know which one was the front or back, but beyond that, it's still great art, and it was easy to distinguish once you actually looked at it. And building those little buildings, not my favorite part of the experience, because I have these non-dexterous hands and it didn't go as well. But I did get everything together and it looks beautiful. And the end game scoring isn't my favorite thing about the game because it's a lot of, oh, okay, this is this and this is that. And if you only have to pay attention to your grid, not a big deal, but still, I wish there was an easier way to kind of make it a shorter kind of end game scoring. But that, again, isn't a huge deal because that's just finding out who wins, and it just takes a little bit more and adds a little bit more anticipation to the game. But I think this game is perfect for an app. You can bust this game out, it's like so many times, and then you won't have to worry about the end game scoring. So I mean, get this game, get the board game, because it's super fun, but I am anticipating and looking forward to a possible app because it's perfect. Well, Foilies, I would wait to play that in an advanced game, maybe play about 3 rounds and then add those in, because it does add a little bit of AP, because you're like, okay, I need to make sure not only am I putting the flowers that are going to score me points, I have to put them adjacent to different places that have the right icons. So now, speaking of which, this game is easy to teach, though the first few games it's going to take a little bit of getting used to because the cards, the icons, you're going to possibly get mixed up. But once you are able to reevaluate and have hyper focus on, okay, this is the icon that means I have this many plants, and this is the top round scoring, and this is the end scoring. This iconography, because this game is as language independent as you can get, other than the card explain stuff, so it's going to be a little bit of a curve to learn, but once you learn it, it's super fast and makes this game bust out even quicker. And yes, it's a bit overproduced. The wall pieces you don't necessarily need, though I like them because you know when the cards are passed. In some drafting games, people just put the cards down and people are like, did you just pass that to me? Because it just goes so fast. Well, you have these little walls to have a little bit more of an indicator. I like them, but you don't necessarily need them. Along with the buildings, yes, they're overproduced. They could have just been a few pieces of cardboard, but you know how I feel about the trees. So I like that they were this way, though they didn't need to be. All in all, I like Flourish a bit. It takes 2 of my favorite hobbies, gardening and board gaming, and takes a mechanism in board gaming that I like, drafting, and puts it into a brilliantly made produced box. So I recommend picking this up. If you haven't already backed the Kickstarter, well, you should be able to do that at a link down below. You can go ahead and check out this game, and hopefully we can knock out some more stretch goals and make this game even prettier, because you know I'm a sucker for production. I like to have my games overproduced, even if it doesn't need it. Until the next time that I see you, everybody, please click like and subscribe, and click dislike if you don't like the video, and let me know in the comments below why you don't like it so I can improve in the videos in the future. But until the next time that I see you, have a great rest of your day and a great time with all you play. Get out there and garden, everybody. I'm out. Bye. Miko, it's time to go. Good girl, Miko.